Legacy in Motion is brought to you by BinaPavo, your sustainability, our business. Sunway Business School, fortune favors the prepared mind.
Hi, welcome to Legacy in Motion. I am Dr. Jesrina.
And I'm Dr. Leilanie, and today we have a very lovely guest all the way from Semenyih. We have Miss Jowin Goh, Chief Executive Officer, Nibou Industries Malaysia Sdn Bhd. Welcome, Jowin.
Thank you so much.
Okay, suggest.
So, sure. Let me ask you a little bit about the history of this Nibou Industries. If you want to share from the beginning when your parents started this company.
Okay, I think I will share a very brief history of how this company started. There's no rocket science behind it. It's purely hard work and effort, I would say. It started off by two different members, which is my family, my dad, Mr. Chan, and my mother, Sally Goh. Both of us stepped up from a working class and decided to start their own business. They started off in 2004. Initially, the business was started is to run whatever my stepfather wanted to run, which is an automation division company. So we started off by trading different automation parts. And then along the way, I think my mom sort of like has her calling from her own industry. She used to be a very top saleswoman in FMCG industry. So people actually find her and say that, hey, can you help us to sort off our clearance stock? So it started off with a clearance stock and eventually move it onto right now. We started off with 5 shop lots and right now we own a 16,000 square feet factory and we are now full force in FMCG industry. We supply products that are in different categories. The first category will be snacks and confectionery, where we supply jellies, puddings, and candies. The second category would be the baking. We also supply our pudding premixes. And also the last one will be beverages, where you have your concentrate and jelly drink. So right now, these are the 3 pillars we focus. But of course, inside our company itself, we have around 85 SKU in totals. Yeah, so right now, starting from 2024, we decided to go full force in FMCG line.
Right.
So we actually turned down the automation department. Yeah.
Okay, interesting, yeah. How from the experience that she had, in the corporate world, and now she's putting it into her own practice,
business.
Own business. So Jowin, we understand that when you joined the family business as the CEO, it was during a very challenging time, right? Can you share with us how did you maneuver through that decision? How you approach in deciding, this is for you, and and this is what you need to do.
Okay, I think it is definitely a very challenging time, but like the old saying says, during the challenging time, you often see how fast you can grow. And that's when I see I grow. And that's when I see that whatever my mom nagged when I was young, it comes to sense right now. Because when you are young, whatever your mom nagged, you will be like, it's okay. She's just nagging you. But right now, as I'm in business in practice, whatever she says actually makes sense. So I think for that moment, when I know that it's going to be me, is when she admitted into a hospital. Like after 2 to 3 days that I came back from UK to Malaysia, 2 to 3 days later, she actually admitted in the hospital. So the moment of the admission, I already know that this is the things that I need to pick up.
Right.
And whether it is a choice I want or I don't want, I don't think that's a choice. I think that's a decision had been made. You are the only one that could pick up. So when I pick up, they never actually offered me a CEO title. I started off from a COO, which is Operation Officer. And the reason it's not because that the company has a CEO. The reason is because that they say that you are too young. So in case there's anything that people ask you and you don't know how to answer it, you can always say that you have to refer back to your management. Because if you are a CEO, basically, you need to make a call in the meeting. So that's what they think. So eventually I'm being offered a role. So during the time I step in, I would say is that that's not my toughest time. Because my mom is still there for like a 3 months time period. So she's basically overseeing me, but without actually telling me the real answer of whatever problem I'm facing it. So when I first stepped into the company, as usual, young people like to change.
Yeah.
I see that, okay, this is too traditional, let's change this, that. Like almost, I think, for the first day I went into the office, I think I wanted to change almost like 180 degree of the company. And then she never said anything. She just listened to me at that time. It's not because that she's very sick, but she still can talk. She just listened to me. And after a week later, I go back to her and says that I shouldn't change too much, because when you want to change so many things, right, you need to ensure that the infrastructure and the people are ready. But if they are not ready, obviously you're gonna turn the boats around.
Right.
Yeah. So that's when she told me that yes, you shouldn't change that much. You can change a little bit, but not like radical change. And I asked her the questions that, why don't you tell me at first? Like the day I told you, because it's like 1 week, like being going office to 1 week, and that's the decision I came out. And then she's like, I can't always be there overseeing you. You need to think through. So this is how it all actually started. Yeah.
Your mother sounds like she was a very smart,
Visionary.
intelligent, visionary person, and I can see, even though I don't know your mom, I can see the zest in you.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
When you're talking about your mom, and now I can see why at such a young age, you are young, when you took on the position, and you're still considered young.
Yes.
Young CEO, but you have the zest,
Yeah.
and that confidence. Yeah.
I think for her, we sort of like always making joke, right? Because her funeral ends at the 31st of December. So we like, she basically calculate that until when she should pay her tax. It cut off just nicely.
Oh my.
The LHDN doesn't have to think. So I think in that way, in that sense, she's sort of like, she know where her life is. Eventually, after she admitted into a hospital, I think she already calculated that this thing's gonna happen. Yeah. But without actually telling me. Because she prepped me when I was very, very young. I think I would like to make a joke. It happens for all family business, I believe. Like since young, I'm not sure. But for me, since young, every holiday I will be ending up in a company instead of any playground.
Right, yeah. So the company was your playground.
Technically, yes.
Yeah.
So it started off like in primary school. I was always there in the operation level. So helping to move things around, that's normal. And from secondary school, I was in the administrative department. And moving up to higher, like upper secondary, I started to handle international clients and finances. And then in the university, I handle the marketing part. So basically, when people ask me, they were kind of surprised, like, how are you not afraid? Like when your mom passed away, eventually the whole pillar passed away, right? Like the company doesn't have the pillar. Why are you not shocked or are you not afraid? And then I was like, I think she has been training me without I thought it was a training, in and out throughout the years. So when the company is there, I was like only 4 years old. So I see the company grow and I see myself grow. I think because I grow with the company, that's why I'm okay with it.
And you understood the business because you
Grew up with the business.
grew up with the business.
Yeah.
Your mother prepared you for all this. Yeah.
And she taught me to be very grounded. So right now, eventually, that if there's any employee comes to me says this not gonna work, especially on the operation level, I would manage to say that, okay, then you see me do. So I always get my hands dirty and I would get my foot on the ground instead of just sitting there and only do the strategic work. Sometimes to me, I love the operation work more. Yeah.
and when you were much younger as well, did you enjoy it back then?
When I was young, I don't even know what's that. I
Right,
was like
right.
having fun with that.
Right.
And then after secondary, I would say year 12, I will start to realize, why my friend can go out and play and I have to be stuck in the company. That's when I get a little bit annoyed.
Okay.
Yeah, and during my university time where all my friends can just study and just go have fun, but I still had to sort out like, some working works. That's when I realized, oh, I need to work again.
Right.
Because I think along the way, she also made me work for my pay. So my mom wouldn't actually just give me the monthly pocket money. She will also say that, okay, since you want this thing, let's assume I want an iPhone, you have to earn your own iPhone.
Right. She
So
made you
there's
work
no
for it.
free life. Yeah, you have to work for it. So I hate it, but at the same time, I need to do it just because I want the iPhone.
Right.
Yeah, I understand. You know you will get what you want by working hard. And,
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And I think that's good training. Right?
Because
Yeah.
eventually for her, like on the education part, she don't really care. Like whatever scores you get, she don't really care. Even you show her a full A's result, she'll be like, it's just a full A. And she'll say that in the end, what determines you is your attitude. If you doesn't have the right attitude, you can't do anything right.
She is so right. Yeah. Attitude is what matters.
But I'm assuming you were one of those who got straight A's.
1C. The rest is A. So what she asked me is like, how come you ended a C for English? And then I'm like, that doesn't matter anyways.
So I'm guessing that is the one valuable advice your mother has given you, or is there any other advices that you have taken over the years?
I think it's if let's say it's about business wise, it's more like how you live your own life will determines how your business going to grow. And this sentence actually only comes to sense to me last year until I met this new business partner, because he was a very a detailed person, a very clean person, which reminds me of my mom, because my mom is like extremely clean person, extremely detailed and arranged person. I'm not too bad, but I will say that I'm not her level. But when you live your life that is very detailed and clean, that's when you start to realize the little details in the business. So in business, that little details actually make a huge differences, a huge tweak. So I think that's what I could think of right now, like what business advice she actually give me. Yeah.
You know, listening to you, it feels like I'm talking to a 60-year-old woman.
I know, and you are so young.
25-year-old
Yes.
I have an old soul.
So Jovin, you know, you're the only child.
Yeah.
And now you are the CEO. So, and listening to how calmly you are taking over the business and running it as the CEO, how do you balance between being the company CEO and taking care, meaning the steward of the business, of the family business? So how do you balance by being the CEO and being the steward of the family business? Because you're taking care of the family business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's really how you position yourself. So for me, I position myself as a professional CEO. It's not about I'm here because of my family is the biggest shareholder, but more and is I'm here because I have the ability to be here. Reason to be said is because I believe that if today I could bring the business from, let's say, 10 million to 25 million, but if I cannot manage to push the business to another 50 million, which means I'm not a fit for the company. It's not because I'm not good enough, it's just because I'm not there yet.
Right.
So I believe if let's say the company wants us to move from one stages to another stages, I have to treat it very professionally. It's not about family. It's more on how professional I could be and how capable I am to push the company forward. Because in the end, if the business is not growing, eventually it will be dying down. And I don't want that to happen. And that's also why I decide to make a decision. Let's open for investment. Because with investment, we can grow further. It's not because that I have the appetite to be bigger, but it's more that that's the most sound business decision I could make for the family. Yeah.
And when you took over, when you first took over, in terms of knowledge, in terms of experience that you have, what did you feel and how did you address these challenges, these emotions that came upon you?
I think when I put myself into that shoe, I realized that whatever you learn is just a tip of iceberg. More or less, your experience gonna speak more. Like whatever decision I make is because my experience told me that this could work. It's not because of the theory says that this could work. But we still need the theory because that's the fundamental of how you think. I think that's why nowadays lots of school they emphasize on critical thinking. That's the only skill you can bring with you when you are out of the school. Because if you study whatever the book tell you, eventually you will stuck yourself in the history. Whereas the business is keep on changing and the change is catalyzed by whoever who drives the ship, who drives the company. So to me, I would say is that knowledge serves the fundamentals of my thinking, but it won't directly affect whatever decisions I want to make because my decisions is still based on experience. And more or less, I listen much to experienced people around me and sort of like take on their experience to me, filter it out, and together with my knowledge and make the best decision. I think that's the best. Yeah.
So how do you determine who's giving you the right advice or sharing with you, the experiences that is worth for you to analyze and take what is
And something that's for your best interest and for the
Correct,
company's
yeah.
best interest. Yeah.
How do you weigh that?
I think for that is basically we need to learn how to filter. That's the most fundamental thing. But actually along the way it's how you treat people will reflect how people treat you. I wouldn't say that the world is full of bad people, but there is bad people.
Yeah.
But if you yourself are treating that way, as in like people's gonna do bad to you, then eventually there's no good people around you because you yourself determine that who's gonna be around you. And then for me, I don't take advice from one person. I will take advice from a few person and depends on what expertise they are in. If let's say today I wanted to ask a finance question, I will go to a finance expert, like let's say people who have worked in the company for like 40, 50 years in the finance department. I will eventually ask them. And if let's say it's about marketing, along the way I actually met a very good marketing manager before when I was interning. So she is my definitely number one go-to. And for business strategy wise is, I would say because when my mom is alive, she's been treating people good. Definitely she has like a few sound people along her side. And right now these people actually cares about me more than I do. Yeah. So this is how I get my advice. And listen to like 3 to 5 advice. You yourself have to analyze it. Even you are listening to wherever ChatGPT, Gemini, you yourself have to filter it because
Right.
whatever they say might not be true.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
whatever they say might not be true right now, but it's gonna be true in future. So there's something that you yourself have to determine. You still have to think in the end.
Yeah,
Yep.
true. So, it's interesting to understand that how you are today, especially when you talk about it's how you treat people, right? And taking on that, you now have X number of employees. Yeah, I'm not sure how many people, but you sure have quite several families that you need to feed. Employees that who are with you. So how do you handle taking on that responsibility in not just being the steward of your family business, knowing that you are responsible for the business, for the legacy of your family, and for the employees that you have to take care their livelihood. So how do you take in that responsibility and know that it is your responsibility?
I think it's been seeded since young because when my mom started a business, my mom always told me that it's not just about profit, it's not just about your own pocket, but it's also the people that fight for you. So without these people, you wouldn't have anything as well. So in return, it is your responsibility to take care of them. So I think that's how I take in the responsibility. Like, it's there since young. I knew that this is her philosophy. So eventually when I was stepping in, I know that, oh, this is what I need to do. Yeah.
You remind me of your mother, and you remind me of one of our previous podcast guests, which is Firdaus Husamuddin from Karangcraft, and she talks about the philosophy, and the father always reminds her that, you know, her responsibility, one of which is to make sure that, you know, she takes care of the employees because their livelihood is dependent on
You.
on her, right? On you, yeah. So that responsibility, knowing that that is your responsibility, I think, you know, it's
It's seeded in the family value, I guess.
family values,
You need to start it like very young because if today you walk into a corporate, maybe there's no things like this. It's more like, can you perform or can you not perform?
Yep. So previously when we were chatting, you talked about some of the changes that you made. Yeah, interesting changes. So maybe you want to share about these changes. How did it affect the direction of the company, the operations, and what inspired you to make these changes?
Can I say I regret about the change? Because the new management actually changed it back again.
Right.
So initially, I think the first changes I made is a little bit cultural shock where the founder will definitely say no, the family will definitely say no, as in changing 5.5 working days into 5 working days. So why I decided to change it is because to me, I believe that business is all about efficiency. That's when I believe, because I'm not that now into FMCG. So during that time, when I wanted to push this change, I don't change it immediately because the senior management also say no. Not just the family members say no. The senior management who are good enough in the industry, have many years of experience, they say no because they say that this is not what should be done in our industry. And then of course I will debate back and say this can be done in our industry because I interned in Nestle before. And intern is 5 working days, definitely in Nestle. Of course, they have a lot of OT. And that's when I realized that, okay, let's make a switch. So during this switch, I think every workers were very happy because it's 5 working days. They can have more of their family time in weekends. But the thing that I never take into factor is that when an MNC says that you have 5 working days, which means that you have to complete your job, right? Because they can work remotely. But for SME like us, most of them can't perform their work remotely. And they don't have the accountability to perform their work remotely. So that's when the business got stuck, where I cannot take back my decision. And this is why I advise the new management to say that, hey, you should start back this. Because if you realize when you go into supermarket, for big brands like Dutch Lady, they also have their people working on every weekend. Yeah, because for fast-moving consumer goods, basically you have to work daily. Yeah, on a very daily basis because the paces is very fast.
And how, and you know, taking on what you said about, you know, about that, how would you do it differently? If you get what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. So if time passed back, I will say that I will keep it as what it is, but at the same time still push for efficiency, which I already achieved right now. So right now we actually have our own KPI guidelines to guide everyone what they should perform on every quarter. We evaluate them. And at the same time, I will still make one of the decisions, which is I establish a staff club for them. This is still the decision I will keep, whereby the employee has their own right to choose whoever president they want, and they can choose to go whenever they want to play. So this whole staff club will stand alone decision. There's no management interfere, and it's purely created by them for them. Yeah, so I think this decision will be kept, but the 5 working days decision will definitely be revert into 5.5 working days.
Yeah, so Saturday is a half day.
Saturday is a half day, and I think it would not change into 5 working days until everyone knows what accountability is. I think that's the lack in SME. We would always say that how come company ABC could work in 5 working days and how come we can't? But they never think of when company ABC says that they work in 5 working days, which means they get their work done and they are still on call. You still could get them even after work because they know that's their accountability. But for SME, I think that's things that they need to improve, because even I say 5 working days for them, I still work 6 days a week, because business inquiry comes in, you cannot just say no to customers. So I think that's what the company should learn.
Inquiries or issues, you cannot wait until Monday to address it sometimes, right? Yeah.
I think I like the part where you talk about the accountability, because both you and Nestle are in the FMCG, right? So when you say that Nestle could do 5 days. So I think that awareness is an experiential one for you, right? So we can look at different industries. Some industries, definitely it's easier to go work from home, or 5 or 4 days even. But some industries, such as FMCG, probably will not. Yep. Back to you, Dr.
Okay,
Lee.
thanks. So, Jowin, your parents have built what it is today. Yeah, I mean, of course, you took over, in a very significant role in 2022. But having said that, with this foundation, which was already built by your parents, as you take on in 2022, how do you build that authority and also craft your vision for, say, the next 30 years or 40, 50 years?
I would say authority is the toughest part, because vision you can just map up to them. And usually for old employees, they don't really care. They just want to work in their comfort zone. I think authority to me is the toughest part, being said that I'm young and I'm also a woman. So being a woman is very powerful, but at the same time, it's also we can't deny the fact that we are women, that people will actually look down on you. And being so young, they might not listen. So for me, authority part, it takes me some time. So for example, let's say I would like to propose a decision A, and it will usually being denied by the senior management. And what I do is I don't pass by them. Of course, I can pass by them, as in my authority is higher, right? But I don't do that at the start. Eventually, I will tell them and ask them what's their concern and what they actually think about it and why they don't support this decision. I ask all of this and take it back to fix my own proposal and come out with a proposal 1.2 and pitch them again. I do it all over again until they say yes to the decision. Because what I believe is, in the start of the podcast, I actually say, I believe in experience. So when they have their own concern, it's definitely something I might be lack of, especially in the initial stage. So this is how I actually claim my authority. And the second way was to actually ask them that let's say I want result ABC, and they told me that I can't deliver result ABC. So what I do is very easy, deliver result ABC and show them that this is the result. So I actually be the benchmark to them. Instead of they telling me this cannot be done, I will show them that this can be done. But you have to show it because you are young. Let's say if today I'm in my 50s or 60s, definitely I wouldn't face this issue if I tell them that this can be done. They will just do it, they like it or not. But just because I was in my 20s, so telling them that this can be done, sometimes they don't believe. So you have to show them. So I think these are the 2 ways that I actually earn back my authority. It's not rocket science. It's by day decision, day by day effort to claim it back, the authority. Because today you can crown yourself as the managing director, the CEO, whatever position you like. If people don't respect you, the position is basically just a blank. This is what I always tell all my people, that I can give you whatever manager, leader, supervisor, but if today you don't earn it from your people, this responsible is just a title. It's just a blank. So to me, that's very important. Yeah.
Can I continue the question?
Sure. Yeah.
So how as someone who is so young, I mean,
Yeah, I'm still amazed listening to her. I'm going like, this is a 60-year-old woman talking.
because we remember when we were young, right? And panas baran lah, blood boiling at that age,
I know,
I mean, I remember at her age, I had a lot of boiling blood.
When I was a management trainee, I was 26 at Malaysia Airlines. My bosses actually came to me and said, Leilanie, awak ni darah muda. See?
I've gotten that as well.
Yeah, so.
And
But you're so calm.
You're so
wise.
calm. How are you doing this so calmly?
I think that's in me is, as long when it comes to business, right, I'm always very calm. Yeah, like super, super calm. Whatever problems that I face, even like a very hard problem, I will say that, okay, I allow myself to cry for 1 hour. After 1 hour, time's up, move on.
Move on.
That's what I did.
I
to
allow myself to cry for 3 days. I'll tell y'all now. After that, I'll have to move on.
Yeah, so I think that's why I'm so calm, is because I did have time frame for myself. And of course, I'm not always so perfect. Like early of last year, I've sort of like missed myself because I'm asking myself, what's the purpose of living? So if you guys met me in last year, you will be like, oh, okay, this is definitely not the same person. Because to me, the purpose of living is very important. So if you get that right, eventually you will get all the details right.
So are you dating now?
No.
Leilanie.
Find time. So,
Okay.
Jowin, I think I'm still, with that particular question.
All right,
but,
sure.
But I hear you saying it's not rocket science. But I also hear that you said, when your idea or proposal doesn't sit in nicely with, the more senior staff, what you do is you listen to them and you go back and forth and make sure that you can actually then sell that to them, because you go back and forth and you listen. So what crossed my mind is, it's like, that's the art and science
Yes.
of, doing business.
Yeah.
So, because listening is an art.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Listening is an art. And
Proposal
I think,
is a very technical thing.
yeah. So again, I think it's not a question, but just to add on that, you have completely put things into the art and science of doing business.
I think the reason because I listen to them is I know that eventually I need them to understand me truly in order to execute it 100%. Because if let's say they will be like, okay, yes, on the surface, they won't be able to convey my message 100% towards the team. Yeah, I think that's the reason why I listen. Because I ask for that 100% understanding. Yeah.
Just to continue from a previous conversation where you talked about advice and mentorship and building that support system. So you mentioned, if you want a finance, you look for a finance person, marketing person. How did you build this support system over the years?
I think over the time I always get this question, how you know people that actually out of your circle. And to me, it's really about asking. Like when you met the person, talk a little bit more. Don't just keep your question in hi and bye. That's how usually Asians do. When you have to be a little bit more curious about the person. Because for whoever that stands in front of you, if you believe yourself that you are in that circle, so whoever that stands in front of you have some weight that they hold. So be more curious to ask more about them. If it clicks, it clicks. If it don't clicks, it don't click. So for people who click, eventually it will become your support system. But I would say that you will rank your support system in A, B, C, right? Because everyone has their own priority. So some people will definitely in your rank A support, some people is B, some people are C. And even some people, they are just touch and go. Yeah, so usually for me, how I build is I will never be very stingy about whatever resources I have. So if let's say people comes to me, as long they ask me, even up to today, as long as a student comes up to me and asks me what they want, I will tell them that this is how you could get it or this is where you could find it. So I'm never stingy about my resources because I believe in open. Being open allows you to reach out to more people.
No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Jowin, just taking a step back, and it's not in this list of questions. I know you went to the UK to study, to do your tertiary education. But prior to that, where did you go to school?
Okay, I actually changed my school quite a lot, like throughout my studying years. So if let's say talking about foundations, I take it in University of Nottingham. And in my year 1, I switched it to Help Academy, taking UOL program, because I always have a LSE dream at that point. And then I figured out it's too stressed for me. I moved back to Nottingham. So that's how I do it.
But prior to that, your secondary school?
Secondary school, I changed 2 schools from private school to international school. And international school, I take it when I was year 11. So Form 4. Like Form 4, I literally switched the whole syllabus.
In Malaysia?
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking, because the way you talk and the way you think,
it's very different.
It's very different. So, I'm sorry, for all of us who went to government schools, but moving from a private school to an international school, as you were saying, I think your critical thinking is different. Yes,
because I don't study well in private school actually. Like if moving backwards, right, the first language I actually learned is English. So if really like since young, like the first word I know how to speak is definitely English. And then because I'm so good in English, my mom say, hey, let's go to Chinese school. And I ended in a Chinese primary school, government school.
Right.
And then that's when I tell my mom, okay, I wanted to go back to international school. My mom said no, because it's too wasting money. That's why I ended up in the private school for like good 3 years. After 3 years, because I think for me, it's since young, I know what I want and I know where I fit well. So for my primary school, I'm not doing very good result. And then for secondary school, like 3 years in private school, I'm not doing very good as well. And the moment I know, yes, I'm going to international school, I literally just passed my Malay. So, and I asked my mom the question, how can you ensure that from private school to international school, because it's such a huge transition, right? It's not just in language, in terms of whatever they taught, how they taught. How do you have the confidence that I will ace in international school? Especially that's very, very important for you to move up the tertiary education. And she'll be like, because you want it. Then that's when my result turns from like CD, whatever you can see in the paper, to all A's. And it's all by myself. I think because I fit into that environment. And then along the way, even from bachelor degree to master degree, my mom actually say no to me, like for a very good long time. Because since young, I know that I want to go abroad to study. Like that's like when I was, I think 15, I already knew that, okay? And she'd be like, whatever you study, you don't need to go abroad because business, you can take it anywhere. You learn from me, it's good enough. You don't have to learn from the school. But she still sent me to the school. And then after I finished my degree, I realized that I wanted to go into the UK to play eventually. That's what I told her. And she'd be like, I don't have the budget for you, so you see what you can do. And that's when I sort of like scout for scholarship and then take the scholarship and fly to UK for a good 10 months because it's during COVID period. So it's only 10 months I'm in there. I enjoy my life there. I play a lot there. And then my mom will be like, okay, that's enough for you. Maybe it's time for you to come back. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, because like I said, it's how you think. It's slightly different from what we normally get.
And coming back to the transition of the leadership from your mom to you, and this was sort of a sudden leadership transition. So, what was the most important thing that you focused on in the first 100 days? It sounds very political. First 100
First
days.
100 days, what you focus on and what you focus on, and also what advice you would give to,
yeah.
to the next generation of entrepreneurs out there.
And also for those who actually had this sudden transition.
Yeah.
I think that is a very important portion of
I
the
think
legacy.
first it's very important you dig your financial records. Yeah. I'm not sure about others. Like for me, I dig a good 5 years of financial records to understand the business. Because whatever people tell you is qualitative, only the quantitative wouldn't lie to you. Especially in business, it's the money that won't lie to you. So it took like first good 1 month to really study 5 years of financial statements, run through the business, every details, even bank accounts, cash on hand, whatever it is, their liabilities, understand the rules from A to Z, because inside a policy, you would never know what's going to hit inside, right? So you need to understand correctly. And from there, I then move on to knowing the whole customer list. So I actually take out the customer database, figure out which are the priority customer that I need to visit, understand that which are the major channels that is important for me, and I go route visit. So I don't visit with my colleague, I visit by myself. If it requires flying over different country, I flew there and visit them to understand the business. So it's all groundwork from finance to sales, and then only to operation. I would say keep the operation last in a business is because our business has the fundamental of like good 18 to 19 years at that point of life, I believe. Because it's 18 to 19 years, that's why the operation could be neglect first. And since now it's like 2 years later after taking over the company, right now I'm starting to look back into the operation. Because I already know that these are my finances, these are my sales. So how can I gain more advantage is to really look back to operation. That's where you have to optimize your costs. So for me, like first 100 days is finance, all your numbers, all your papers, all your agreement, run it through. Get your legal team to run it through with you. After understanding that is to move forward to your sales. So the portion will be like 30% finance, 70% of your sales. Because if let's say your company is not generating sales good enough, of course you have your sales team to run. But if let's say the pillar is the person who runs the sales the most, you need to get your bloodstream continue flows. So you need to start from the source and then only trace back to the end. Yeah, so I think that's the advice.
Nice.
It's a good advice. Yeah, definitely start with the money trail, right?
Yeah.
Look at it. Yeah, I understand. Good. So, Jowin, this is our last question. Yeah. Through the conversations, we understand that you've gotten a new investor to come in, who is also a family business, second gen, just like you. We know that currently you're exporting to several countries. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that's going on. A lot of new things that's happening, and looking into the future. 50 years down the road. Yeah, I like to say 50. With all these new changes and, this export, I'm sure you want to penetrate more countries out there. What is the hope for you, in building a legacy, this new legacy for you moving on?
This is like a very tough question. I think for me, what's the hope for me is that I hope this company name can be stay true with or without me. Because I'm their last firewall. the reason I convinced my stepfather to sell is also, I told him that you never know what's going to happen to me. Even I'm young, but you never know what's going to happen next second. If let's say I'm the one who say goodbye, then the company eventually would fall. So I think my biggest hope for me, like the most basic hope, is to hope that the company could live with or without the family members. This is the first thing. Second thing is, we hope that this company can be pushed through into another stages. To grow beyond what it is today. So right now we are an OEM brand, so we can come out and motivate people as a brand owner, but hopefully in future we could own our own R&D capacity. Reason why it's R&D instead of manufacturer is because I believe that if you own the formulation and your own R&D team that keeps on going, you will grow even further than the manufacturing capacity. Because going into manufacturing, you need a very huge capex. And I don't think that's where our strength is. But knowing the market, understanding the market, I think that's where our strength is. And to actually fund the R&D, I believe it's much more expensive than funding a manufacturing capacity because there's lots of try and error. So for right now, we are still trying to figure out how the company can keep a portion for continuous innovation. Whether it's on product, whether it's on business model, we always welcome innovation. And I think that's the way to grow the company. Yeah.
Wow, that's a whole lot of things that I learned today. It has been such a rich, fruitful conversation that we've had. Thank you so much, Jowin, for sharing that. As a takeaway, I think what we can sum up with, it's not just about profit.
Yeah.
It's about treating people right. It's about listening to your people and making sure that you stay zesty as you are,
and calm.
and calm, zesty yet calm.
Yeah,
I think that is who you are, and that is what you're bringing to Nibou Industry Malaysia, Sdn Bhd. So thank you so much for today. We thank you. Is there anything that you'd like to
Add on.
Add on, I would say that it's been such a long time that people told me that you are like your mom. So I really thank for that compliment. And thank you so much for both of your time, and thank you for inviting me over. Yeah.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
So this is Legacy in Motion.
Thank you.